Wow, I was not expecting this many changes. Yo, what's good, it's your boy TYBW, and in case you haven't seen Bleach the 1000-Year Blood War arc, episode 13, The Blade is Me, then some spoilers for this episode. You have been warned. So we're finally here, the season finale of Bleach the 1000-Year Blood War arc, Core 1. And just like episodes 6, 7, and 10, this episode has quite a few changes which I wasn't expecting. First up, they added puddles behind Ichigo and made the ground more detailed, as well as redesigning Ichigo's face, mainly making his pupils bigger. Next up, Captain Hitsugai has some subtle rim lighting going around his face, as well as his eyes being redesigned quite slightly. His hair is also looking quite spiky as well. They slightly thinned out the rim lighting on his nose in the Blu-ray, as well as his eyes getting a slight redesign. Not only did they reposition Mashiro Kuna, but they also reanimated her hair flowing as she's bouncing up and down. The green grass is slightly desaturated in the Blu-ray version. The Blu-ray added some extra VHS effect like vertical lines, as well as making the static look more fuzzy and blurry. Personally, I feel like this shot with Nimaya is a bit unnecessary. It doesn't enhance or ruin the scene in any way, but I love how Studio Pierrot animated Ichigo's face moving. These are the subtle type of animation sequences that I love to see in the Blu-ray. Next up, they added some more shadow to Ichigo's hair, as well as lowering his entire character profile in the shot. But I don't like how the Blu-ray removed some of those wrinkles around his eyes. It just looks a lot less detailed in the Blu-ray. Next up, they reduced some of the blur of Ichigo's reflections in some of the glass shards, but I do like how some of the glass shards had that slight tinge of blue in the TV version. Next up, Pierrot reduced some of the blue in the blue flames in the Blu-ray shot. They also lightened up and blurred out some of the nice little spark effects in the Blu-ray version. Damn, this is probably one of my favorite changes. As Old Man Zangetsu starts to fade away, the Blu-ray added some extra dust particle effects. My boy Thanos would be proud. I especially love the extra particle effects on Old Man Zangetsu's close-up shot. It honestly feels a bit emotional saying goodbye to this character. And you see those extra particle effects as Ichigo reaches up. They increased the light reflection on his glasses, although the highlights in his eyes have been reduced slightly with some added extra particle effects. An interesting dramatic change that Pierrot made is that for the last few minutes of this episode, we do see some of the closing credits play out in the TV version, but the Blu-ray, they removed all the text and actually added the main closing theme at the end of the scene before we have that post-credit scene with Ishida. Next up, they increased the saturation of the blue flames in the Blu-ray, as well as making the whites a lot brighter. Next up, this shot of Ichigo looking at his new blue true Zanpakuto. They removed the inner whites in the blue flames. Next up, as Ichigo's being engulfed by his new true Zanpakuto, they added some extra cool looking anime streak effects just to give the scene more oomph. Next up, they sped up the motion of some of the debris panning behind Ichigo. Next up, our boy Nimya has grown a couple of inches in the Blu-ray shot. Next up, as Kurosaki Ichigo pulls out the blade from the furnace that not only causes the water to rise up but also evaporate, notice how they added the blue color to the water compared to the black and white version in the TV version. They also added some water rising around this area, but the TV doesn't have the water there, and that's about it. Those are all the major changes of episode 13, The Blade is With Me. Overall, this was pretty fun doing these comparisons of all 13 episodes. While some of the changes look pretty damn cool, others were quite unnecessary in my opinion, but overall Bleach the 1000-Year Blood War arc Core 1 has been quite solid throughout, and this is pretty much a great example of what happens when you give an animation studio some time, money, rest, and all that wonderful jazz. But tell me in the comments down below what you guys thought of these changes of this episode and all the other changes. You can watch all the changes in my new Bleach TV vs Blu-ray comparison playlist. Are you pleased or disappointed with these changes? Tell me. Like this video, subscribe for more anime reactions, reviews, comparisons, breakdowns, rankings, and more. But thank you for watching, and as always, a boy TYBW signing out.